Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I have got a really good batch of stories for you today, and I mean that genuinely. We have got family drama, relationship red flags, a woman who ghosted an entire household without anyone noticing, and a 10-year marriage update that honestly restored a little bit of my faith in people. So get comfortable, grab something to drink, and let us get into it. Alright, first story. And this one is called, Am I the Asshole for Taking Away My Dad's Girlfriend's Keys After She Tried to Send Me to Bed? So this is about a 21-year-old woman who has essentially been the backbone of her family since she was 12 years old, and her dad's new girlfriend who decided, for reasons that remain unclear to everyone involved, that she was in charge. There are multiple updates to this one and they get increasingly unhinged, so buckle up because we are going to be here for a while. So meet Charlie, 21 years old, home from college for the summer. She has 4 siblings, 2 older brothers named Henry and Teddy, and 2 younger siblings aged 12 and 10. Their mom passed when Charlie was young. Their dad Anatole has been largely estranged for most of their lives due to a drinking problem. Their uncle Marcus has been their legal guardian, and the real constant in all of their lives. For the past year or so, Anatole has been making efforts to reconnect, mostly with the younger kids. He has been sober for 3 years and has managed to keep himself together. And about 4 months before this story starts, he began dating a woman named Sorrel, who is considerably younger than him and who has, from the very beginning, had a peculiar fixation on playing the role of mother to children who already have a full and functioning family structure without her. Now, Sorrel started out as just a slightly odd presence. She would come over more than Anatole did, would refer to herself in a maternal context, had this patronizing way of speaking to Charlie in particular. Charlie, being the low-energy person she describes herself as, mostly just let it go. Not her circus, not her problem. She had bigger things to focus on. Then Anatole gets himself a key made for Sorrel, because she had been helping pick up the younger kids from school on days the uncle was busy. That detail matters. So the incident that starts everything off. They have Anatole and Sorrel over for dinner. Henri and Teddy cook a great meal. Everything is going fine. Until Anatole makes an insensitive and inappropriate joke at the dinner table. And Sorrel, rather than distancing herself from it, makes a deeply ugly insinuation about the kid's late mother. Charlie does not get into the specifics of what was said, but she makes it clear it was bad enough that they saw them out and spent the rest of the evening debriefing about it. The next afternoon, Charlie comes home with the younger kids from school to find Sorrel already in the kitchen. She had let herself in while nobody was home, for the first time. She says she is there to apologize on Anatole's behalf, because he felt too ashamed to come himself. And I want to pause here for a second, because that is already a choice, is it not? Sending your girlfriend to apologize for you because you are too embarrassed to face the people you hurt. That is not remorse. That is damage control by proxy. Charlie sends the kids to their rooms and has a direct conversation with Sorrel. She tells her the comment about their mother was unacceptable and they will not tolerate anything like it again. Sorrel laughs it off. And then she says, with what I imagine was a smile, "Oh, it is so cute that you are trying to be their mom, their adult." Charlie blinks at her. And then, because she is a more patient person than most, she gets started on dinner and lets Sorrel stick around for the evening. Around 10 o'clock, Sorrel turns to the younger kids watching television and does her stepmom thing. "Okay, my dears, time for bed." The younger kids look at Charlie with the universal expression of, "What is this woman doing?" Charlie shrugs, and they head off, because it is close to their bedtime anyway. No drama. Then Sorrel looks at Charlie, who is 21 years old, and cleaning the kitchen after cooking dinner for the entire household, and says, and I am not paraphrasing, "You too, hun. It is getting late. Time for bed." Charlie says, "What?" Sorrel says, "It is getting late," and tuts at her. Charlie gives her the benefit of the doubt for approximately 1 moment, then tells her calmly that it is time for her to go home. Sorrel continues to talk to her like she is a child. Charlie tells her she feels disrespected and needs to be taken seriously. Sorel laughs it off again, uses the phrase, "It is so cute when teenagers try to act like adults," and says something about Charlie having a hissy fit and being rebellious. Charlie tells her she has 5 minutes to get her things and leave the house. Sorel gets up, walks toward the bathroom, and on the way says something along the lines of, "No wonder Anatole calls you a frigid little priss." While Sorel is in the bathroom, Charlie walks over to her bag, locates her house key on the keyring, removes it, and goes to her room. Sorel leaves about 20 minutes later. The next day, the texts start. Sorel calls Charlie a brat, says she is going to tell the uncle and the brothers, says Charlie is being childish. Charlie tells her she is at work, and if she wants to talk, she can call at 4. Otherwise, she can go bother the brothers, but they are also at work, so good luck with that. And here's the part that I think is worth sitting with for a moment. In Sorel's spiral, she says that Charlie's younger siblings are like her kids, and she needs to take care of them, and that taking the key was unsafe. This woman has been dating their estranged father for 4 months. Their uncle has full legal custody. Henry and Teddy are adults who are present and involved. Charlie has been the functional adult in that house since she was 12. And Sorel is describing herself as a necessary safety measure for these children. Charlie's last text to her is genuinely one of the more composed responses I have seen in a story like this. She tells Sorel that she has been dismissed every time she has tried to communicate, that she is no longer investing energy into enduring her behavior, and that there is very little chance the key is coming back. That is it. She does not yell, she does not spiral, she just closes the door. Her uncle calls later and is already laughing when he asks what happened. When Charlie says she tried to put me to bed and called me a priss, he cracks up. Her brothers are not surprised in the slightest. The outcome is clean. Sorel is not coming back to the house, is not picking up the kids, and only sees the younger siblings when Anatole is there and Henry is present to supervise. But then there is the update, and it gets significantly more interesting. A few weeks later, it is the younger brother's elementary school graduation. The whole family is there. Dad is not invited, but Henry ends up texting him photos, and in a moment of generosity on a happy day, they say he can come say hi to them at the park afterward. He shows up with Sorel. The moment they get out of the car, Sorel looks at Charlie and makes a snarky joke about, "Oh, hi everyone. Oh, and there is Mom," meaning Charlie. For the sake of the children, Charlie says nothing. At the picnic bench, Sorel watches Charlie eat 3 hot dogs in quick succession and then gestures at her mouth with her fingers and makes a comment about having a lot of yakking to do after that. For those who might have missed the implication, she was suggesting Charlie would purge. Charlie, who is healthy and has a high metabolism, just says, "I do not do that," and keeps eating. Later, Sorel offers to drive the kids home because she clearly cannot help herself. Teddy snorts into his water. Charlie says they are good. Sorel says she does not mind. Charlie says she drove. Sorel says, "And I want you to really hear this. You can drive?" The children giggle. Charlie sips her soda and helps her little brother sort his rocks, and decides she simply does not care anymore. Their dad steps in and points out Charlie's car parked down the street, mentions that Charlie learned to drive from him and that she drives like a bat out of hell. Sorel then looks at the car and says to Anatole, "Ah, so that is where all your money ends up." He says, "Oh no, her money." At which point, Sorel starts asking invasive questions about how much the car cost and how much Charlie makes. Then comes Henri's work gala, a big formal event at an opera house. Henri's girlfriend needs knee surgery and cannot attend, so Charlie is going as his +1 for the early mixer portion. At the park, Sorel asks if that is not a little weird, brother and sister walking in together. Henri's girlfriend, who by this point has absolutely had it with this woman, says, "No, not weird at all." Sorel asks Henri if they will get photos together, implying herself, And Henri's girlfriend suggests there is family photo stuff at the end, but she is not sure they do it for extended family, and then walks off to throw something away. 2 nights later, Henri calls Charlie and tells her to get Teddy immediately, and reads them screenshots of his text conversation with Sorrel. In the texts, she has been making small talk with Henri, then starts asking about who his +1 is, and whether he is sure he wants to take his sister, implying it might look like they are dating. Henri says it is completely normal, and he is taking Charlie. And then Sorrel pivots to asking where Henri eats lunch on the days he skips it. And then she offers to bring him lunch at work, and her last message reads, "Would not want my baby boy to go hungry," with a laughing emoji. Teddy is cackling. Charlie's jaw is on the floor. Henri's girlfriend is audible in the background. None of them can determine with certainty whether baby boy was meant in her bizarre stepmom way or as something more. And I think the fact that they cannot tell is itself the answer to that question. They send the screenshots to Anatole. Henri tries to talk to him about their concerns, gets brushed off. Gala day arrives. At the banquet, Sorrel is immediately in stepmom mode, telling the kids what to put on their plates, lecturing about vegetables. Charlie is quietly managing the actual needs of the younger kids because her little sister has a serious allergy and her little brother is autistic and has sensory sensitivities around food. Charlie has packed medication and sandwiches specifically because she knew what would happen. Predictably, the little brother's food is plated with things touching and he cannot eat it. Sorrel tells him to eat anyway. He asks Charlie for the sandwiches she packed, and Charlie gives them to him silently. Sorrel tells her to stop babying him. The little sister returns with a plate containing olives, which she is allergic to. Henri and Charlie start picking them out. Sorrel again says something about babying and picky eaters. Henri explains about the allergy. Sorrel suggests exposure therapy as a solution to a stone fruit allergy. And then Sorrel sees Charlie administering her little sister's diabetes medication at mealtimes, which Charlie has been doing since she was 16, and panics thinking it is the wrong medication at the wrong time. It is not. The little sister, who is as sharp as they come, explains exactly what medication it is and why she needs it right now. Sorrel recovers with, "Oh, I thought it was her other medication." Teddy says, "Nope, I gave her that in the car." Sorrel says, "You could have told me." Teddy says in French, "Why would I?" Later, while they are waiting in line for family photos, Charlie's little sister gets sick, and Charlie takes her to the bathroom. Some of it lands on Charlie's dress. She sends her sister back and cleans up. While she is in there, Teddy texts her that Sorrel kept pushing for the family to go ahead and get photos without Charlie, and Henri had to make them step out of line and wait. When Charlie rejoins them, Sorrel reaches over and adjusts her scarf to cover more of her chest, says that is better, more family-friendly, and winks. Charlie says calmly, "Please do not presume to touch me ever again." Sorrel goes to Henri dramatically and says, "Did you hear that?" Anatole pulls her aside. For the actual photos, Sorrel arranges the whole family with herself and Anatole in the center, like parents, older brothers on each side, and places Charlie off to the side. After a few shots, Henri suggests one of just the siblings and pulls Charlie to the center. Then Sorrel asks for one of just her and the boys, and has Charlie and her little sister step off. Then she has Henri and Anatole lift her up for a jumping photo. And for the final full group photo, she arranges herself directly in front of Charlie, almost entirely blocking her from the camera. Charlie is too tired to protest. As they are wrapping up and making small talk outside, dessert comes up, and Charlie mentions the crème brûlée in French, which she speaks because she is French. Sorrel immediately repeats the phrase back in a mocking, exaggerated imitation and laughs. And that is it. That is Charlie's last straw. She tells Anatole to take his girlfriend and get in the car right now. Sorrel scoffs and says, "Sweetie, that is no way to talk to your dad or me." Charlie tells her one of her false eyelashes is coming off, which it is, gets in her car, and leaves. Sorrel apparently has a full breakdown in the parking lot. She and Anatole and Teddy get into an argument. Henri stays to deal with it. Teddy drives the kids home. Eventually, Sorel and Anatole come to Charlie's car window in tears. Sorel crying and saying she does not know what she did to deserve this treatment, and that Charlie is just being territorial and does not want the kids to have a mother. Charlie tries to close the car door, but Sorel is blocking it. So Charlie goes to her glove box and pulls out an old, unused storage unit key, yells at Sorel to fetch, and throws it behind her. In the chaos, she also accidentally grabs a $5 bill, which she tucks into Anatole's dinner jacket, says something she cannot even remember because she was so angry, and floors it out of the parking lot. Now for the final update, which arrives a month later, and it is a lot to absorb. Sorel is pregnant. They find out through a family friend who still followed her on social media and saw that she had posted ultrasound photos publicly, tagging many people. The family starts quietly building a paper trail in case this is used as any kind of legal leverage. Anatole confirms the pregnancy when their uncle reaches out, says they did not mean for them to find out this way, and were figuring out how to tell them personally. Then they find older posts on her social media, photos of the younger siblings that she has been posting with captions framing them as her own children. One is of the little brother, who had been sick, sitting in front of his lunch in pajamas, captioned, "Sick day, but I get to spend time with my precious baby." Their uncle sends a cease and desist email. She apologizes and takes them down. Charlie has her own suspicions about the pregnancy that she is not pushing with her family because they are already overwhelmed. She has healthcare experience, and her boyfriend is in pre-med, and some details in the documents Sorel has shared do not quite add up to her. She mentions that when Henri agreed to attend an ultrasound appointment, Sorel later said her OB was out of town and pushed it back, and that she only wants to see this specific provider, which Charlie notes would be medically unusual. And then the thing that hit Charlie hardest, her little sister's birthday. Anatole comes to visit and brings a present, one of which he says is from Sorel. Charlie opens it in the kitchen later. It is 2 mason jars of mazamorra morada, a Peruvian dessert, a recipe Charlie's mother used to make with her brothers when they were young, a tradition Charlie took over and has been doing with her younger siblings ever since as a way to keep their mother present, especially since she never got to learn Spanish from her mom the way her older brothers did. The note says she hopes she made it as good as Charlie did. Charlie does not have proof. She cannot prove Sorel knew the significance, but she knows. And the jars are sitting in the fridge, and her younger siblings have no idea and have no reason to know. And Charlie says she felt like something precious and private had been trespassed on. She walks Anatole out and tells him she will not see or hear from him again until he leaves Sorel. She knows it is emotional. She knows it is not a calm ultimatum, but she needed him to understand the weight of what she was asking. She had not yet told her brothers or uncle when she wrote the update. She was still finding the words. There is something about this story that goes beyond the drama and the absurd gala scenes. Charlie has been keeping this family together since she was 12 years old. She is 21 now. She goes to college full-time, works almost full-time in the summer, drives the kids to school, picks them up, packs lunches, administers medication, cooks dinner, handles crises. And what she got in return from this woman who showed up 4 months ago was condescension, mockery, boundary violations, and someone reaching into the one private thing she had with her siblings and her mother's memory and touching it without asking. Sorel is not stupid. She knew exactly what she was doing with those jars, and that is what makes it so cruel. Moving on to a much shorter story, and this one is called, "Am I the asshole for refusing to tell my boyfriend how much money I make?" This one is quick, but there is a lot packed into it, and there is a prior post that gives important context. So meet Sarah, 29 years old, been with her boyfriend Daniel for about a year and a half. He is 10 years older than her, 39. And there is something that starts to crystallize over the course of their relationship, which is that Sarah is consistently the flexible part of their equation. Daniel never misses poker night, the gym, or family dinners. Those are sacred. Plans with Sarah are always, maybe Friday, or probably Sunday. She adapted to this because when they did see each other, he was present and attentive, and she talked herself into believing this was a planning problem rather than a priorities problem. Then she had a minor surgery and needed someone to drive her because the hospital would not allow a ride share. He had told her earlier in the week he would be there. The morning of, he texted saying he had forgotten and had already committed to helping a friend move. He suggested she take an Uber. She explained she could not. He came, but was standoffish when he picked her up, after she had just been intubated. When she raised how that made her feel, he said she was being unfair because she knew how he was with planning and she had not stressed the importance enough. Now, the actual question she is asking is about money. She comes from poverty. She has freelance income on top of her salary that effectively doubles her earnings. He makes about half of what she does. She has kept her financial situation private since early in the relationship. He has brought it up occasionally, not aggressively, but it keeps coming up, and she feels guilty about it. Is she the asshole for not telling him? She is not. She is not married to this man. Her finances are her business. But what the comments and her own reflections seem to help her see is that the reason she does not want to share her finances with him is not just privacy for its own sake. It is because she does not fully trust him. She does not feel like a real priority to him. She has been keeping a piece of herself protected because some part of her already knew the relationship was not on solid ground. 6 days after the post, she updates. She ended it. She said the relationship never felt fully resolved after the surgery incident. The conversations kept going in circles, and when she reflected honestly on the relationship, she realized she had been waiting for him to initiate more integration with friends and family, and he never had. She had met his mother once by coincidence. He had not met hers at all in a year and a half. He texted her afterward, saying he felt like he was a major issue and that he wished he could be more for her, but did not think he could be the partner she needed. She noted he called what they had a situationship, which she recognized as him minimizing things now that he had been the one left, but otherwise he was civil. And she says she is looking forward to greener pastures once everything settles. The surgery moment is the thing that stays with me from this one. You can spin a lot of things, planning issues, communication styles, different paces in a relationship. But when your partner needs someone to drive them home from surgery, and your first instinct is to text them suggesting they take an Uber, and then you are standoffish when you do show up, that tells you where you are on the list of things that matter to this person. And no amount of good times together undoes that information. Alright, next one. And this is a story that starts frustrating and ends with a very satisfying exit. This one is called, "My stepmother said I was being inconsiderate for making myself food after I got off work." So Jade is 21. She lives with her dad Kevin and her stepmother Diane. She works a 1 to 10 shift and usually gets home around 10:30 at night. About 5 months before this post, Kevin banned her from cooking because he said she made too much food and wasted his money. Since then, she has been banned 2 more times for different reasons. At the point of this post, she is on her 3rd ban and is only allowed to use the air fryer, not the stove, and must be done by midnight. One Sunday night, she makes pork chops and broccoli in the air fryer and finishes before midnight. The next day, Diane texts her saying that if she is going to cook, she needs to be done by 11 because the noise and smell disturbs her sleep and she has work in the morning. Jade points out this is less than 30 minutes from when she gets home. Diane says, "Well, do you not get a dinner break at work?" Jade works at a Walmart on a 1 to 10 shift. Her break is not at 9:30. When Jade pushes back, Diane starts saying she's been waking up after midnight because of noise and smell. Jade says she is always done by 12, and if she is still in there after, it is because she is cleaning up. They go in circles. Jade points out that they often cook without leaving her food or telling her it is a fend for yourself night. Diane goes on the offensive. Jade says, "You have my number." Diane treats this phrase as if it were a slur. The whole conversation devolves, with Diane yelling over Jade every time she tries to speak. Now, here is the broader context. Jade has been buying her own food. She is making her own money and feeding herself. The food she cooks is hers. She put "do not touch" labels on it because they kept eating it without telling her. They throw out food she makes for the household, and then get upset when she makes food for herself. Kevin banned her from cooking for making too much of a homemade meal that fed everyone for 2 days, and the problem was solved by throwing it in the trash. She also mentions that Kevin's stepson comes in at 3 in the morning through the garage door that physically shakes the house, and Kevin himself stomps around and slams doors when he leaves for work early. And none of this disturbs Diane's sleep. Only the air fryer beep at 11:45 does. In the comments, she mentions she is moving in a week, moving states away. Her Aunt Leah, who is 23 and essentially her closest person in the world, is coming to get her. And crucially, no one in that house knows she is leaving. The update arrives about 2 weeks later, and it is everything. She moved Thursday night, and nobody saw her go. Leah came and got her. They stopped in their hometown, got food, saw some people, and then drove straight to Dallas to see Cardi B, because they had won tickets. The day before Jade left, Diane had texted her saying once the month was over, she would have 30 days to get out. Jade did not reply. She was leaving the next day. She also shares Diane's last message, which is a masterpiece of someone who genuinely believes she is the victim. Diane writes about how she has done things for Jade, made sure she has health and dental insurance, given her time and opportunity to make plans, and that Jade has the nerve to put her name on her food when she is using their refrigerator and their electricity for free. She says Jade is disrespectful and ungrateful, and that she is done, giving her a 30-day notice at the end of the month. Jade received this message the day before she left. She did not reply. She screenshot everything, and she went to a Cardi B concert. The part of Diane's message that tells you everything is the shower comment. She writes that she has had to tell Jade when to clean up, and even when to take showers, as evidence of how much she has been doing. Jade clarifies that she definitely showers. She just does it at night. Because she gets home at 10:30. Diane is asleep by then. A 21-year-old woman who works full-time, buys her own food, minds her own business, and showers at night after a 9-hour shift was described in a formal eviction notice as someone who had to be reminded to bathe. And she responded by leaving the state to see a concert. I think that is the correct response. Okay, this next one is a different kind of story entirely, and it is one that I think is worth taking seriously because it does not end the way you might expect. This is called, "I Found Out My Wife of 10 Years Cheated on Me," and it comes with a 10-year update. Tom posted this originally in 2015. He and his wife Lisa are both turning 40 that year. They have 3 kids under 10. The past couple of years have been difficult. He works constantly. She works 2 nights a week. They have been drifting. He noticed the classic signs over about 6 months. She dyes her hair, starts dressing differently, picks fights. He finds text messages on her phone with a coworker. The messages confirm she kissed him after work one night and that she wanted it to go further. The coworker rejected her. It never went beyond the kiss. Tom texts her that he found out. She takes a large quantity of pills before driving home. A friend intercepts and takes her to the hospital. She is admitted on suicide watch. While there, she is diagnosed with bipolar 2, and doctors tell them she had been in a hypomanic phase for months, which explains the hair, the clothes, the behavior changes, and the escalating emotional intensity. Tom is now immediately in caretaker mode. He has 3 kids, a mortgage, a job. He loves her. He is also devastated and angry, and does not know if he can get past it. They start individual and couples therapy. He is reading the marriage books. She is adjusting to new medication and in survival mode. He feels guilty that he is not healing faster, even though it has only been 2 months. He asks the internet 2 questions. Have any of you successfully gotten past something like this? And does the haunting feeling ever go away? And for those who could not get past it, Is divorced life as hard as he thinks it will be? The comments tell him to leave. Multiple people tell him she did not apologize, that her suicide attempt was a deflection, that she will do it again. The general consensus in 2015 is that he should get out. He did not. The 10-year update arrives in May 2025. Tom is now 49. He and Lisa are still together, and he says he loves his life and his wife. He writes that looking back, he genuinely believes the incident was what it was diagnosed as, a bipolar II hypomanic episode compounded by medication that turned out to be the wrong treatment. He writes that every May for the first few years, the anniversary of finding out and her attempt was very hard. This year, he forgot about it until over a week after the fact. They vacation together. They are intimate regularly. They have plans for when the kids leave home. He says he learned through couples therapy how to be okay on his own, how to maintain his identity and self-worth independently, so that he is choosing to be in this marriage rather than staying because he is afraid to leave. He says she has continued doing the work on her mental health and has learned to manage the condition. They are, in his words, gratefully together. He ends by saying that divorce may be the right answer for a lot of situations, and he does not take for granted that it is not in his future. But he wanted people to know it is not the only answer to really bad situations. I think the reason this one stuck with me is that the original post is a man who is genuinely trying to figure out how to stay, at a moment when everyone around him and online is telling him to go. And 10 years later, he is writing about pop-up trailers and monthly intimacy and being glad he did not take the advice. That does not mean the advice was wrong in general.
Not every version of this story ends the way his did. But it is a reminder that sometimes the complicated path through something is also a real path. And the last story today is one that is shorter, but I think it captures something really specific about what it feels like when you realize a relationship is not what you thought it was. This one is called, "Asked my boyfriend of 5 months if he knew my middle name. Turns out he did not know much else either." Emma is 25. She has been dating her boyfriend Liam for about 5 months. Things seem serious on paper. They spend a lot of time together, take trips. She has met his parents and extended family multiple times. But she has had this creeping feeling for a while that he does not actually know her. Like, conversations tend to stay in the present, and he does not ask many follow-up questions, and whole chapters of her life have just never come up because he has never been curious enough to ask about them. One night, they are at a bar with friends, several drinks in, waiting for an Uber to go home. Liam cannot remember her address. She brushes it off. But something comes over her, and she asks him if he knows her middle name. Silence. Her parents' names. Nothing. Where she was born. Nothing. What she majored in college. Nothing. Her family cat's name. Nothing. Meanwhile, Emma has a note on her phone where she keeps track of things about the people she cares about. Liam's middle name, and the story behind it. What he likes to order at different restaurants. Stories from his childhood. What he wanted to be when he grew up. She starts crying on the sidewalk. They go home and she tries to explain why it hurt. She says it made her feel invisible, like she could be swapped out for any other girl. He apologizes and says he was drunk and would not forget again. He does not hug her. He does not try to list the things he does know about her to reassure her. He falls asleep while she is still crying. 3 days later, she posts an update. After a sober conversation, she tried to explain what she actually needed, which was a partner who is curious about her life, remembers things that matter to her, and has the emotional instincts to comfort her when she is upset. He said he froze and did not know what to do. She writes that those are crazy asks, according to him, and they ended up breaking up. He later texted that he felt like a major issue and did not think he could be what she needed. She says it is still hard reconciling the relationship she thought she was in with the one she was actually in. But she also points out, almost as an afterthought, that his Valentine's Day card to her said he was so grateful for all that she did
for him. Not for her, not for who she is, for what she did for him. Sometimes the quiz at the bar is not really about the middle name. It is just the moment when something you already knew becomes impossible to unknow. And that is going to do it for today. We had a lot of ground to cover, and I think every one of these stories had something genuinely worth thinking about. Whether it is Charlie protecting her family with the patience of someone twice her age, or Emma realizing she had been keeping detailed notes about someone who had not bothered to learn her last name, or Tom choosing to stay when everyone told him to go and spending 10 years being glad he did. Drop a comment on whichever one hit you the most, and I will see you in the next one.